Both of these vehicles are different in their styling, but they both have an inherent design flaw that will grenade the engine when it fails. Let's talk about active fuel management. Let's get started. You guys have seen a previous video we did where we have Hoovies from Hoovies Garage, Cadillac Escalade Hybrid Platinum. It is fixed now, it is happy. We're going to show you some of the trouble we went through with the active fuel management and how this one has some clunking noises, but it has something completely altogether going on that's not engine related. But there's a reason why this one doesn't have failures on the active fuel management. It could, but this customer is taking some steps to prevent it, and we'll show you that today. Let's take a look around, do a figure 8. We've never done this before. We're going to do a figure 8 and run around both vehicles. Here's the front of this 2008 Chevy Silverado. It's one of the best looking Silverados that I think of the different styles they've had over the years. This one's in very good shape. It is a Z71. I like the red color. It's not rusted, it's not beat up. And as we come around to the back, it is the LT package. And on this side, you can see it's equally as nice. No rust, no serious issues going on with the body. Over here on the Escalade, it's a little dirty. It's had salt spray on it because it was delivered here on a truck. But it does have the pearl paint, pearl white. It's very nice. It's in good condition. As we go down this side, you can see that it has the 17-inch wheels, but Hoovie has some wheels picked out for it. They're going to look much nicer on it. You'll have to watch his channel to see what he does. But they both have active fuel management. Actually had a guy argue with me one time. He said the Chevy 6-liter LS-based engine never came with active fuel management, and I'll die on that hill. You can't change my mind. I showed him a picture of this one. This is a Cadillac Escalade Platinum Hybrid with a 6-liter LS-based engine that has active fuel management. Let's take a look. You kind of see underneath the intake, if you can, there's the valley pan, and it has all the myriad and maze of different ports for oil to go. That is because it is truly an active fuel management engine. A lot of people say that's really dumb to put that on a 6-liter, but you got to think the whole idea of the hybrid system is to save on fuel, to increase miles per gallon. And one way they could add to the hybrid system's efficiency is also add the active fuel management. So it uses even less fuel when you're on the highway cruising and tries to add at least another mile or two per gallon. But these were a flop. Even when they were working perfectly, you might get 20 on the highway, 22 or 3 at best. It wasn't that much better than your standard Chevy pickup truck or Tahoe or Yukon or whatever. And that's why they don't make them anymore. They only made them for a short amount of time and they stopped because they realized this is dumb. This one has been apart twice. Poor Danielson has been in basically a living hell. He did all the work to replace the lifters on this. If you watched the previous video on this, we showed what went wrong, how it failed. He had to do it a second time, and it wasn't even his fault. It's really, really bad. But before we dive into that, let's go take a look at the red Chevy. And here we have a 5.3, no longer a 6-liter, but we still have the same valley plate down in there that has the myriad of different mazes and different things for oil passages to activate the active fuel management. From a glance, a 6-liter and a 5.3 and a 4.8, you really can't tell them apart very well. They look almost identical, but they have a lot of the same problems. They didn't put active fuel management on the 4.8s. There's just not enough power there to go into 4-cylinder mode. And that kind of reminds me, I want to explain to you guys, what is active fuel management? We all remember back in the day when Cadillac had a V8 they called the V8 6.4, and it had different electronics or things on it where it could turn off cylinders, go to V6 mode, V4 mode, and it was a total flop. It was bad. It didn't last very long and they did away with it. And a lot of people had that and they had to delete it off of their vehicle and went back to a standard V8. They weren't interested in having that at all because it failed a lot. Fast forward to now, and with these LS-based engines, they decided to try that situation again. It doesn't have V6 mode, but it can turn off 4 cylinders using the lifters. It uses oil pressure to actuate and unlock the lifters, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. And basically 4 cylinders, 2 on each side, are just air springs. They don't do anything. There's no fuel going into them. There's no exhaust. They just kind of move. Nothing happens. In that mode, you're running on basically a 4-cylinder engine to save fuel. But if you give it a little gas, or you're going up a hill, or you want to downshift or whatever, it can quickly click back into V8 mode and have all 8 cylinders running. That's the whole idea. And the idea is pretty cool, except for even in this day and age, they're failing a lot. From poor oil changes, or just basically it's a design flaw. The lifters, when they are supposed to collapse and spring back as the push rod is pushing on it, they finally just seize and lock up, and it starts clattering, and it can break the engine block. I've seen the lifters turn sideways, and it can just destroy the engine block, knock chunks out of it, destroy the cam, break the cam bosses. It's really, really bad. Bad system. I don't like it. There is a way. A lot of people email me, how can I turn the system off? And if you can turn it off, they never give any trouble, really. Let me show you how this customer turned off the fuel management on their truck and have had no trouble with it. So this modification is not done in the engine bay, it's done in the cab. It doesn't require thousands and thousands of dollars. It's very simple. We all know modern vehicles in the US have an OBD2 port underneath the dash. There's something plugged into it on this one. Let's take a look. We can see a little black box that has a blue sticker on it. I'll go ahead and remove it and we'll take a look at it. AFM DFM disabler. We're going to put one of these in our Amazon affiliates link. You guys can go there and purchase one of these if you want. But all you do is you plug it into your OBD2 port and it stays there all the time. You don't remove it, you don't put it in your pocket, you leave it there. If you need to plug in a scan tool, you can unplug it and plug it in, obviously, but when you're done, you put this back and leave it there all the time. And basically what this does is it, with these little pins, it talks with the computer and it says, never turn on the active fuel management. When the computer says it's time to turn it on, this thing says, no, you're not. You're not allowed. I don't know exactly how it does it, but it shuts it down. It does not allow it to be activated. So I'll go ahead and plug it back in. Now there are 2 ways to disable this system. There's electronically, just with that little gadget I just showed you that plugs into your OBD2 port. And then there's mechanical disable, which requires your ECM to be retuned, or tuned, I should say. You take the heads off, you take it all apart to get the cam out, you put in the non-AFM cam, standard lifters, all 16 lifters, just plain lifters. And I'll show you that difference here in a minute as well. I have a table set up just for you guys with some demonstration. But it takes away the AFM lifters completely out of the equation, and then you have to send your computer off to be reprogrammed, and it just deletes that system completely out. Now, some of the emails I've gotten, people say, well, how do I know when it's time to do mechanical versus just a little plug-in doodad under the dash? If your engine's running fine, not making any noises, you've been keeping up on the oil changes, nothing's damaged, then it's time to just do the little plug-in underneath the dash and you'll be good. But if you've already experienced clacking and knocking and noises, the system is already on its way out. When you do the teardown is when you go ahead and do the full mechanical delete of the entire AFM system while you're going back together with standard lifters, standard parts. That makes sense to do it that way. But if you don't, like I said, if you don't have anything damaged on your engine currently, you don't need to do all that. All you need to do is disable it through the OBD2 port with that little box we just showed you. Now let's head on over to the Escalade. There's a situation here where we just fixed it and we did put back the AFM lifters. One of Hoovy's requests when doing this job, when we get the lifters out and we get everything apart, I want it to go back together and be fully functioning just like it was when it left the factory. As part of the hybrid system and the attempt to save on miles per gallon, he wants the full system working, all in unison. Because if you put standard lifters back in, you're going to have a little bit less fuel economy, and then it really defeats the purpose of even having hybrid. Why bother? So it was his request. He said, I want the AFM working. So we did it. We had Danielson do the whole job. I bought AC Delco OEM dealer lifters. And they were trash right out of the box. Brand new piles of trash that are going to the scrap pile. They're junk. We soaked them overnight, did everything we're supposed to do to bleed the air out of the lifters. We let it run, we drove it, we tried everything. They refused to pump up. The standard lifters did pump up, but the AFM lifters, there's something defective with those, and they're bad. Let's go take a look at that. So all 16 of these lifters here I purchased, and they are, like I mentioned, AC Delco OEM quality. And I've heard this over the years, and I've had previous issues with lifters in the past. I've learned, for the most part, it doesn't matter what brand you buy, except for one brand I'll mention here in a minute. You can buy OEM, you can buy Crane, you can buy Comp, you can buy all the different brands, and you still might get a pile of crap in the box, brand new, just junk. You might as well throw them in the scrap pile. I don't know why that is. I guess they're made overseas now. They're not made up to quality standards, but we have found out with these AC Delcos, they were also trash, brand new, right out of the box. Like I mentioned, we soaked them in a bucket of proper oil, 5W30, which is what this goes in here, for 2 or 3 days. Then we installed them, and it's normal for it to have a little bit of clatter until they get pumped up. About half the clatter went away. The other half would never go away, no matter what we did. Danielson was really stressed, and he's like, oh man, did I install them wrong? Did I do something wrong? And I know better than that. I know Danielson doesn't make those mistakes. But he was like, what happened? What did I do wrong? I told him, tear it back apart. I bet we'll find what happened, and it's probably not you, Danielson. So let's take a look. So here's the standard lifters that came out of it. This is what a standard LS-based V8 comes with. This is not an active fuel management lifter. This is just your basic everyday lifter. These ones, which I'm going to demonstrate with this push rod, are pumped up. I mean, I can push as hard as I want. It will not move. That's what's supposed to happen. Now let me show you an AFM lifter, which has a spring on it. Listen to this, guys. I'll put it next to my microphone. You hear that? It's just sloppy in there. Something's defective or... And so while it was running, that's what it was doing on 8 of the lifters. 8 of them are AFM, just loud as could be. And nothing we tried would make it go away. Now, over the years, I've done multiple sets of these at a shop I worked at, probably over 50 or 75. I don't even know. I lost count. And especially when I first opened my own shop, I did multiple sets of these as well. And I always used a brand of lifter and cams by a company called Elgin. And I never had any trouble. I ordered AC Delco this time thinking, well, obviously it's OEM, it's going to be fine. But I found out the hard way, no it's not. And guess what solved the problem on this Escalade? In fact, I'm going to start it and let you hear how quiet it is now. Quiet as a mouse, isn't it? In fact, it's so quiet it almost sounds like an electric motor. What's the difference? Nothing, except for the brand. Danielson did the same exact process a second time, except this time with Elgin lifters that I ordered. And even when he first started it up after soaking them for about 3 days, it was just as quiet as you just heard it. I mean, instantly they pumped up, and it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. AC Delco. Trash. Let me show you, I have an AFM lifter. I've kind of cut it open and show you how does it work and how does this all fail. So here we have the AC Delco piece of trash lifter that's junk. It's going to go in the scrap pile in a minute. But this is one that I have from a long time ago that was seized up. I cut it open to show you kind of how it works. So this little top piece, the spring is obviously damaged, but there's a cartridge inside of here. It has little spring-loaded tabs that are now removed. And then there's a lifter inside of there that when I push it, it springs back. So that's how it shuts off that cylinder. It's no longer opening the valves. All that motion's getting wasted into this spring. So under normal use, the AFM lifter doesn't squish. It's solid. But there's a second little oil port here that when pressure is applied into it, it unlocks that mechanism I just showed you, and then now the spring bounces up and down instead of opening the valves with the rocker arm or just wasting that movement in the spring. This spring can go all the way down and seize and get stuck and never come back up again. That's where our failures happen. And it can actually cause the lifters moving around, flopping around so violently, it can actually spin in its bore and break, guess what? These plastic, let me show you, these are the only things that are keeping your lifters from spinning. Is plastic. You can see the little shapes there. They're kind of a squared off shape where the lifter fits into. It keeps it from spinning. Because you can see the roller rolls on the cam. If it were to spin sideways, guys, it's no longer rolling on the cam, and it'll just break it off in the block. And I've actually seen a couple of those where you tell them you need a new engine, and they're just like, all because of an AFM failure? Yep, it broke the block, it cracked all the way down to the crankshaft webs. Just ruined it. So that's kind of in a nutshell what AFM is, how they fail, some of the options you have, what you can do to turn it off, and how poor Danielson, I had to calm him down. He was so stressed out, and I said, man, this is not you, bro. This is a piece of, I don't want to say curse words, guys. It makes me so mad. This is absolute, you know what, it's trash. AC Delco, garbage. So, we got a few more things to fix up in the interior and some suspension stuff for Hoovy, and this thing will be leaving. But I got to do, or have my mechanic do, head gaskets basically twice on this vehicle. I don't get comped for that, unfortunately. But it is fixed, and as you heard, it is quiet and happy. So if you have a healthy engine and you do like this customer and just disable it with that little plug-in tool, make sure to still keep up on the oil changes. Every 5,000 miles, good quality synthetic oil. Those plastic little trays I just showed you, they can crack, they can snap. If you skip on oil changes, it makes those brittle and they don't flex and they can actually cause trouble. But if you keep up on the oil changes and disable the active fuel management with that little module that plugs in, they really don't give you any more trouble after that. Other than that weakness, these Vortec 4.8, 5.3, 6 liters, now we're into 6.2s and all kinds of different other sizes. They really are a great engine. To me, it's one of the best American V8s ever made. They're really, really good, and they're so easy to work on. The second time Danielson did the head gaskets and pulled the heads off of that poor Escalade, he was like, this sucks that I had to do this again because of parts crap, but he's like, this was easy. It really wasn't that hard. I'm like, yeah, that's one of the glory things of this engine, what I praise it so much. You can really work on them pretty easy. They're good engines. So this one does have a clunking noise though, but it's not the engine. The customers said it's driving them insane. They're driving down the road and there's this constant, kind of a muffled, constantly in the front end. They're like, can you please find that noise? I'm going to go insane. So let's get this thing on the lift and I'll show you what we found with that. So here we are underneath this 2008 Silverado, and this customer has done really well to take care of this vehicle. It has roughly 150,000 miles on it, and it really doesn't have any serious leaks or anything. Nothing leaking up in this area where the radiator and core support area is. No green fluid, no antifreeze leaking. So here we see nothing really seriously leaking on the engine. Our drive shaft is good. The cats are all intact. Transmission's not leaking. But the clunking is coming from the front end. I kind of shook around everything, tried to see what I could find, and then it dawned on me what it could be. So I checked out these sway bar bushings and sway bar links, and they're tight. Nothing's loose there. I tried the tie rods and the steering rack, thinking that could be it. I used the trolley jack and lifted it up. Nothing's loose there. Our struts are fine. Brakes, the calipers are not loose and flopping around. The brakes have got like 70 or 80% left on them. But over here, I just happened to grab here and listen to this. The other side does it too. So the whole time this customer is going down the road, as the suspension's moving and doing its normal thing, it's doing this. And what that is the CV shafts are just worn flat out. And it's really cheap to just buy the whole CV shaft rather than try to rebuild it. Just quoted him to replace both of them, and we'll see if that's what he wants to do. But that definitely is the noise. It's kind of a muffled. When you're in the cab, you can imagine that that would sound kind of muffled. And one of the hallmarks of these trucks that I really like is that they're so simple. It's not packed full of gadgets and technology and a bunch of junk, especially in the 2008, 9, 10 year ranges. We have our transfer case, it's not leaking. Here's our drive shaft. Charcoal canister is easy to get to. There's the vent for the canister. Fuel tank, nothing's leaking there. Exhaust is all intact. As we move back, our differential is not leaking a drop. Everything's nice and tight there. We do have drum brakes. Nothing's leaking from those. The struts are not blown out. Dry brakes, struts are not blown. And our spare has plenty of air. So this one, all it needs is front CV shafts. The noise will go away. And this customer has many more happy miles from his engine, being that he has fully disabled the active fuel management. Let's get this thing on the ground. So these both had some clunking noises. One's going to be a lot cheaper to fix, obviously, than this one was. This one has been disabled on active fuel management, and this one we fixed it. But I wanted to kind of chronicle to you guys the trouble we went through. To keep in mind, if you get to do this job, you have to do this, and you're able to do it yourself. I really recommend the Elgin lifters and cam and things. I've actually used those parts, the brand, as well on the 5.7 Hemi, Dodge Chrysler, because those have displacement on demand, DOD, which is the same thing, basically identically the same technology, and they also have failures as well. Whether it be a Chrysler product or a GM product, I have used the Elgin lifters and cams on multiple vehicles, and none of them have came back. They all were happy campers. I now know I'm just going to stick with them. I chanced it. I thought, you know, dealer level parts would be fine. They weren't. They're both going to be happy campers when they're all back together. Definitely wanted to get a video to you guys to show you two different looking vehicles can have some similar problems. If you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on either of these or any other vehicle in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We'll have listed there also that little active fuel management disabled tool and many other tools we use in the shop every day listed for sale there. If you purchase any of that, we get a small cut and really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button before you go and the notification bell, because we have very many more videos to come. Thanks for watching.